Okay, we're going to start now. I'm going to mute all of your lines so you can only hear me. And it's 11 o'clock. We've got pretty much most people joined us. We're expecting about 22 people, 21, 22 people on this webinar. So yeah, let's get started. You have a chat feature on the right-hand side of your screen if you need to say anything, but we will use that chat feature at the end for questions and answers. So welcome to this Qlikview for Higher Education introductory webinar. My name is Steve Sapseed. I work for a company called BME Solutions, and I am the Director of Software Applications here. This webinar should last for around 45 minutes. The agenda for the webinar, which is not set in stone, but pretty much that this is a guide, is a 10-minute introduction to Qlikview in higher education, 20 minutes or 25 minutes or so of showing you what applications are commonly used in higher education. Following that, showing you as a Qlikview developer how to build something from scratch to show you how easy it is, and then we will have a question and answer session at the end if there are any questions, and you can use your chat to ask questions on there. So let's just quickly check how many more people have joined us. Yep, I think we're running at almost a full crowd now. So Qlikview in higher education. Back in 2008, there were two universities that bought Qlikview, Anglia Ruskin University and Bart Spa University. 6 years later, in 2014, there are now 32 universities that use Qlikview. Of those 32 universities, 26 of them are BME customers, and we have implemented or assisted those universities to implement the software. Just to give you an idea of some of the universities that use Qlikview, there are some university logos on the screen there, and it's been used very broadly across the sector. Why do universities use Qlikview? Almost always the first port of call or the first model dashboard application that's built is around the student population. How many students do we have? What are they studying? What are their profiles? Are they male or female? What is their age band? What is their domicile, etc., etc. Once that application has been built, and some universities haven't started with that, but I would say 90% of them have, the functionality of Qlikview is quite easy to see how one can then deploy it in finance reporting or benchmarking things like the KISS data set and that sort of thing. But who are BME Solutions? Qlikview is the software product. Who are BME Solutions? We've been around for about 15 years, and we specialize in business intelligence and reporting. We have over 120 customers. Mostly they're in the UK, but we do have customers around the world. We are based at offices in Guildford in Surrey, and we sell and implement three packages: Qlikview for business intelligence, F9 for Excel financial reporting, Quantrix for student modeling, and a product called Rant and Rave for student feedback. Today, though, is only going to be about Qlikview and the way that we have implemented Qlikview and the way we have specialized in the higher education sector. So what is unique to Qlikview? What sets Qlikview apart from other reporting products on the market? First of all, it's very fast to deliver the solution, to deliver the software. We have sites with thousands of users, where we have charged less than 10 external consulting days to deploy the software. Qlikview works associatively. It works on the basis of discovering data as opposed to sending out what I would call fixed format reports. Qlikview presents the user with a data set, and that user is then allowed to click through or drill through or have them do the necessary mouse clicks for them to go and find the answer themselves. And finally, Qlikview is incredibly easy to use. There is no end-user Qlikview training course. It's supposed to be Google-like, Google-esque in its usability. The dashboards that you'll see later will be easy to navigate, and there's no real training involved. Because Qlikview will load data into memory, the results that get fed back to you after you've clicked or searched are all less than a second. It is very, very quick. So that's Qlikview. But what's unique to our company, we are a reseller of Qlikview, having sold it and implemented that 25, 26 universities. What has been the reason for this kind of success or this kind of take-up of Qlikview from the education sector? The key word really throughout this is collaboration. Universities are keen and don't have a problem with sharing ideas and applications that have been developed. They don't have a problem with saying, this is what we've done at our university, this is how we've done it, and in some cases, here is the model that we've used to create this. This has allowed us to have developed HE templates. So most universities that get Qlikview use our templates to get started, whether it be student population or student applications, or whether it be the KISS data set. A lot of that stuff we've done already, and the development is there for you to access. Some of you may have already been to our user days. Excuse me. We run 2 user days every year. These user days are there for universities to present and show and tell their applications and what's been developed and the reason they've developed it and how they've developed it to the Qlikview user community. Our next user day is in Edinburgh, 21st of November. These user days are open to people that are looking to investigate Qlikview or trial Qlikview, as well as universities that use Qlikview. BME have an online HE forum where university Qlikview users can share models, share presentations. We have about 120 members on the forum, around 30 institutions. And also using BME allows you to maximize your software investments. We have specific tailor-made higher education Qlikview courses where we use Qlikview higher education dummy data sets to show you the information. So why does Qlikview, how did the product, what was the need that created the product? Well, historically, users have been very suspect getting the right data. It's a question which I've stopped asking now when I first get to a university. How many students do you have? Depends which department you ask. It depends who's prepared the data set. It depends which tool they're using to get the. It's quite a complicated setup. Data also is in multiple formats. You've got your student data system, being SITS, or Banner, or D. You've got a finance system, you've got an HR system, and a lot of the time your targets and your budgets are stored in Excel. Those need to be conglomerated together to form. In the past, it took a very long time for results to be achieved from these dashboards or from these products that were put in. The industry average some time ago was about 17 months. And very costly. Data technicians, very clever data engineers, very clever database people to actually get the information. Qlikview, we'd like to say we do away with all of that, or most of that, and we give the user this kind of consumer application experience. No one's been on a Google training course or an iTunes training course. Software should be there to be used by users in a very easy to access way. And Qlikview has combined this with the power of business applications. So anybody at the university should be able to search on how many students I have in my faculty or my course, or how many female students from China are studying psychology in the second year. Those sort of things should be easy questions to answer. You shouldn't need data technicians to get that out for you. So the way Qlikview works is we have data sources. Whether it's going directly into your transactional system like SITS or Banner, or whether you already have got a staging area or a platform or some kind of database where you have housed the data for your current reporting in Access or Excel. Qlikview puts that through its ETL. We'll load some data later, and I'll show you how this works. And the user is presented with a dashboard. It's very important for me to say, and I know a lot of you, not even me, is IT oriented, but the data and the dashboard are the same file in computer speak. In the old days, with the traditional products, you needed to have specialists to be able to integrate the data, create data warehouses, data marts, cubes, universes, hierarchies of data, and finally then, the very top level, you had your visualization tool. Qlikview does away with that, and it's all one product. Whether it's loading data, whether it's viewing data, it's all one single file. So you may have a file for student populations and student applications, you may have a separate file for finance, or you may have combined files for those. The benefit of using Qlikview is in the past, there was a very traditional way of drilling down or structuring the data. Often IT departments used to preempt the questions that were going to be asked. So they would say, well, if you want to look at our data, you need to go faculty, department, course, student. Qlikview doesn't matter where you start. You can start with a course, you can start with a student, you can start with a department, you can start with a gender. It doesn't really matter. You can come at the data from any angle that you want to. It also does away, although Qlikview is quite capable of doing this, we feel the need is not that great anymore with this kind of fixed format reporting. Users want to explore data as opposed to be given pieces of paper. If they were given a dashboard type environment, they can ask questions themselves, so they can click on various things and drill to the answer that they want. The way Qlikview is deployed is, once again, data sources down at the bottom. It's deployed on a Qlikview server, and users access the information via the internet. So via a web client, whether they're sitting behind a laptop or a standalone PC or an iPad or an Android or an iPhone, the information is available to them in that format, and Qlikview will auto-recognize what client, PC, iPad, etc. you're looking at. We have some case studies on our website, which I'll allude to later, and the links will be at the end of this, this presentation. But really what I want to do is show you how Qlikview works, what the product actually looks like, and what the user does to interface with Qlikview. So I'm going to be showing you a user perspective of Qlikview first, and then later I'm going to be showing you a developer view of Qlikview in terms of how do you create these dashboards. So I'm going to go into, I'm just going to change my screen resolution so you guys can see a bit better. And I'm going to show you a typical Qlikview application. This is probably one of the simpler applications that we have, but it's very good at showing how Qlikview works. So what we have is a screen in front of us, and we have tabs up at the top of that screen. So a bit like upside down Excel, although it's not Excel. So by clicking on these tabs, I can go across and see different views of the information. I'm going to start with the very first tab and explain how Qlikview's drilling or selection process works. There are three important colors in Qlikview. Green, which means I've selected something. So if I click on European Union, my data set shrinks. You can see the chart on the right-hand side has shrunk. I have 464 students that are at my universities that are from the European Union. White in Qlikview, so the color green means selected, the color white means that it has data associated with it. So we have all 4 levels of study associated with European Union students. We have males and females, we have all our age bands, but we don't have the funding source other associated. That is gray. So it means I do not have any data that is associated with funding source other for European Union students. If I choose postgrad research students, I can see that although I have male and females, nobody over 60 at my university. Of the 32 students that are doing this particular postgrad research, there are no over 60 students because it is grey. To clear my selections, I simply just clear a selection screen, clear my selections, and it takes me back to the whole data set. So if I wanted to explore this data set by age band 0 to 21, I could see that these are the faculties that my students are in. I have 6,200 students, and I can also drill down. I usually double click, but just for this webinar I'm going to highlight a particular faculty. That will take me to the next level of detail. The next level of detail in this example is department name. So those 3,000 students are then split into these departments, and I can scroll down. I've sorted them from most to least, and I can scroll down through them to see what they're doing. If I was to highlight, let's say, just education, it would break down into course names. So my 200 students that are in my Department of Education are studying those particular courses. And of course, I've only chosen 0 to 21. If I click off this, I now have 379 students, which is all my students. How many of them are female? 179. How many of them are male? 201. Now, I can also visualize this in different ways. So up at the top, I've got a fast change. It happens to be a bar chart, which I've chosen to show as my visualization. But just by mouse click, I can see a pie chart. I can see it in rows and columns as actual numbers. I can see it in a block chart as well. And I can see it at any level. So if I've chosen social science and education, I can, probably won't look too pretty, but I can see it as how I want it. I can also at any point just send this to Excel. It will send the data to Excel, or I can actually copy this image, this block chart image, to the clipboard if I want to. But what is also important with Qlikview is all these tabs are linked. So by choosing United Kingdom on this tab. The ethnicity and domicile tab is linked to it as well, so all my sheets on here are shrunk or filtered by whatever I've chosen. This happens to be a ethnicity chart, and I can choose a country like Argentina and see I have 5 students from Argentina. 4 of them are in the social science faculty, 1 of them is in the science faculty. If I double click that, see this is just a half a student because it's FTE this. But those 4 students are across those departments, and my physics students is studying physics. That's the actual course they're doing as well. So I'm going to clear my selections again and move across to some other charts. I can also view the, I can just cycle through different dimensions. So if I wanted to see this by faculty without drilling into the data set, just seeing it in a slightly different way, I can. And if I want to drill into course or cycle to course, I can see course. And simply just by clicking on this Excel button, it then exports that information most to least. So my most popular course is natural science, and I offer 165 courses at this university. But what makes business intelligence tools very powerful is their visualization capabilities. So I'm going to look at a world map of the students that attend my university. My biggest blob will be over the UK, but if I choose non-European Union, it just shrinks the data set by those students that are non-domiciled. And I can see straight away that I have a big dot over China, second biggest dot is over Taiwan, and I can actually go and look at that in more detail. So if I was to just highlight a particular country or continent, and let's say choose Brazil where the World Cup was, it shrunk my data set to the 6 students that come from Brazil. All of them are full-time, all of them are under 40, they're males and females, all of them are undergraduate, because those are white and the rest are grey. Going back to my very first screen, it's just changed the visualization of it. I can still drill through. I can still drill through into department and drill through into course. And there's 3 of them doing business courses. I can go back, so I can, much like the internet, go back to previous selections. But if I go back to my world map and I want to see who those students actually are, I have a student details tab where I can see who those 6 students are. I know there's a funny photos over there, but a lot of our universities actually put photos of their students on here. So whether it's a faculty I'm choosing, or whether in fact it's just an individual student, my data set will pivot around that particular selection. From a UK map point of view, Qlikview integrates very nicely with Google Maps. And I may want to go and look at students by region. So my southwest region, if I just isolate that, I can see there's 2,000 students from the southwest region. It now drilled down to county level. If I was to go and say, let's look at Cornwall, I can see that most of my students come from there. It's now gone down to town level in Cornwall. And if I want to go look at Newquay, which I quite like, I can drill down on Newquay and actually see the postcodes where my students come from. So 26 of them come from the outgoing TR7 postcode, and 23 of them come from the outgoing TR8 postcode. Finally, there's a dashboard screen on here, and you don't need to filter on words. I can, if I want to, filter just on a cohort of students that are between 39 and 45, and the screen will change accordingly. So that's the student population demo. check the chat to see if everybody can still hear me. Yes, they can, so that sounds good. And I'm going to take you into another model which is very popular, which is what we would call an applications tracker model. So how many applicants do we get to the university? How many offers do we make? How many offers are then converted into accepts? And then how many accepts are converted into people turning up for their first year of study? So here's a model where we've got 3 years of data. I'm looking at 2013. I have 5 curves on my chart. I have applications as they are received during the weeks. So that is week 1 down here, and that's week 52 or 53 over there. How many offers are made? How many accepts are there? The black line is my target. That's what I've been targeted for the year. And the yellow line is enrollments or firm accepts. I've got faculty up at the top here, so by choosing a faculty, this will change depending on the faculty I've chosen. If I choose a particular school, it will change. And excuse the names for department and program, but we had to scramble those because this was part of a live data set once before. I'm going to clear my selections and go to another chart. So I'm just moving across. So here I can see it by faculty. I can see the 4 charts on one page, or I can see with what frequency and what weeks those applications come in. So in the early part of the year, these lines are quite thick, which means there are quite a few applications, and they trail off towards the end of the year. In the same way as the previous application, I showed you the dashboard. I can drill down on, let's say, engineering, and it'll take me then into the schools. And if I drill down on the schools, it'll then take me into the departments, and if I drill down on the departments, it'll then take me into the courses that is made up by applications, offers, firm accepts, and targets. What is very popular amongst universities is to want to compare how we're doing against the previous year. So if I'm choosing 2013. If I chose 2014, obviously I'm only sitting at this particular week, so it's going to be flat after that. But I can see how I'm doing against previous years. I seem to be tracking 2013 here, but 2012 was a higher amount. The same thing with offers. There's no difference really. It's just a different metric. The same thing with accepts, and the same thing with firm accepts as well. So very low level firm accepts early on in the year. This is only week about 14, I think. I can see that information in gauge format. So drilling down, I can see that engineering I'm not doing very well on, but medicine I'm doing very well on in terms of accepts. And as I drill down through here, it will take me into the courses. Let's change it to 2013. It will then take me into the various departments or courses and how those courses are filling up. So we may be looking at, once the blue gets to the very top, then those courses or those departments are full up with students. What you can do in Qlikview as well is you can also to some extent predict and use it as a calculation tool to predict if we get this many amount of applications for across the university, let's say, that we're looking at the moment. In fact, we're not. If I clear my selections, across the university, if we get 7.93 applications, those will convert based on the last 2 years of data into 4.48 offers, and those will then convert into 1.54 accepts. If I look at a particular faculty, like arts, I have a better conversion rate, 7 to 4 to 2. And I can also manipulate this information as well. So if I think we're going to be getting more applications than last year, I can move this needle up so that these then change. Or if I think we're going to have a worse conversion or a better conversion, I can move that and these things change as well. So it can be used as a predictor for, I would say, a high-level predictor for what can be expected. The next application I want to show you is very popular amongst our customers, which is the KISS Unistats application. So in this particular application, I can choose my own university, I can choose a peer group of universities, and I can choose a particular region that I'm in, and I can then set those to my, let's say, my benchmarking peer group or my benchmarking by region. And up at the top over here, we have our various visualizations: National Student Survey, Delhi, entry information, study information, accommodation, degree class, fees, etc. But if I go and look at the National Student Survey, and I'm going to click off my subjects and just go to courses, I can see that I've chosen London Met University here. London Met University offers 122 courses. I've chosen a very crude competitor group, which is any university with the name London in it. I can see there's 14 of those institutions, and combined, those 14 institutions offer 1,200 courses. And I can see in the middle here a visualization of my National Student Survey. The grey bars are my university scores for each of the 22 questions. If I score worse, and the dots are my competitor scores. If I score worse than my competitors, there's a red dot. If I score better than my competitors, there's a green dot. But the way one can actually drill into this information is quite interesting. So if I looked at subject level and I chose law, I can see just straight off that there are only 7 other institutions with the word London in that offer a law degree. If I looked at London Met, I could see there are 6 courses they offer with law. If I looked at my competitor group, there are 68 courses amongst those 7 universities that they offer at law. But more importantly, my scores seem better than overall. So I don't know this for a fact, but I would assume that London Met maybe get a good score from their law students, from their law department. If I wanted to see this in another way, I think a much clearer way, I can see it in a radar chart. The blue is my institution, in this case London Met, and the green is my benchmarked bundle of institutions. So those 7 there, just for law. If the blue is outside the green, I'm doing better. If the green is outside the blue, I'm doing worse. And it's quite interesting to see by subject area which universities do better than other universities or against their competitors. I'm now going to move on to the Destinations tab. And I can see here that London Metropolitan University, it's probably not, I've sorted this by unemployed. It's probably not the best way to do it, but they are ranked 3rd in terms of students unemployed. UBL and London South Bank are greater. Once again, just when it comes to law, if I wanted to choose a particular course, I could choose a course, but then I don't think it would be very comparable against my other institutions because course names are different. So subject level is often a better level to look at. I can look at salary after 6 months and see that if I go to London Met, I will earn £23,000 a year. The only other university I can go to, in fact, London School of Economics is the same, and all the other universities are worse than me, so I'll probably get a fairly good wage. What is the entry information like? If I would look at a distribution curve of points to get into the university, I would say that it is comparatively just slightly easier to get into London Met than it would be the other institutions. And I have the same kinds of visualizations going forward. And this is all just from the XML file that HESA or Unistats provide. This model is created from there, and it required a bit of cleverness from one of our consultants, but it's there for you to use. Yeah, accommodation, in terms of what accommodation costs are, degree class. If I was going to London Met, it's pretty much in the middle. Most firsts come from University College London, King's College Economics, and then after that London Met is the next best. And fees as well. I can see that London Met charged a lower fee, or they did charge a lower fee when this data set was out there. So that's an example of a of the KISS model. All of these models I'm showing you are actually available for you to look at on our website. So you can, as I'm doing here, you can scroll through them or click through them on our website, and I'll give you the address for that afterwards. Finally, the last model I wanted to show was student engagement monitoring is becoming a very popular in terms of seeing how and why students are disengaging from the university and trying to stop that students leaving the university after the first few months. So in this particular demo, and it is just a demo, we've used 3 types of engagement to track these students: lecture attendance, assignments that are handed in, work that is handed in, and network logins when they log onto the VLE. And in the same way you've seen before, based on a selection that I choose, those will move. Depending on what I choose, those things will move. The important part of this model is the weightings. I have, as the developer of this model, assigned a weighting to each course. An English course requires less engagement with lectures than a chemistry course. And I have assigned weightings to courses, departments, the week. So week 1 is a very low rating, because some students may miss that. Year of study has a higher rating. As you move through, students are less likely to disengage as they go, as the years go on. And I can see information very clearly in terms of engagement risk. So in this visualization here, I'm looking at it by faculty. Our Faculty of Science has the best engagement. If I wanted to look at it by a domicile group, let's say, I can see that UK students, I suppose unsurprisingly, have the best engagement. If I look at it by year of study, as the years go on, engagement gets better. Or I can look at it even down at course name. And it's very easy for me to see as I scroll down through here which courses have a good score and which courses have a bad score. And I can even drill down into those courses by student numbers. I'll try to find a good example. These are all the student numbers. And I can see each student and their engagement score. And I can see it over a series of weeks, or I can see it over all weeks, depending on where I am in the year. I can also set a tolerance level in Qlikview and say to myself, I would like to see all students that have a risk score under 40. And it will change that risk. It will just give me the data set of students who are under 40, and I could have an email address field here, which I could click on, and it would then take me into an email. So those are the 4 models that I was keen to show you. The final thing I'm keen to show you is how to build a model in Qlikview. I'm just going to have a quick break and look at the chat to see that everybody can still hear me. Yep, that looks fine. Okay, so what I've shown you up to now is how a user, an end user, would engage with Qlikview. The types of selections they would make, the sorts of things they would look at. What I haven't shown you is how to build one of these models. And I'm going to show you a very easy example based on 2 Excel files. Our data very seldom comes from Microsoft Excel. It tends to come from the student data system, and Qlikview has ODBC capabilities to pull information in from student systems, or to pull in information from data marts or data warehouses or data staging areas. Or Qlikview also has the ability to be its own data warehouse or data mart. So you can actually build effectively a data mart or mini data warehouse in Qlikview as well. So if there's one thing I'd like you to take back from this, is Qlikview is not just a visualization tool. It's a data structuring tool as well. So what we have is a very simple Excel file with the kinds of fields that you would have. And I know it's oversimplified. I know you will have data which doesn't conform exactly with this, but this is really just to give you an idea of the sort of thing it's got. So student number, an age banding, a course name, department name, domicile, faculty, etc., etc. There's only 12 columns in this file. So I'm going to go back into Qlikview and say new file. It prompts me straight away with select data source. I'm not going to use the wizard. I'm going to use the actual ETL tool itself, so you can see what it looks like. Hopefully not be scared off by it. So this is just some standard ETL stuff which comes with that. And I'm going to click on table files and go and find that student data load file. I tell Qlikview that it has labels embedded in it, so it will label the columns. I'll just click finish. And what Qlikview does is it creates this kind of SQL-y load from that wizard and says load these fields from that particular file. And I'm going to save this as a test. Let's call it test 2. Say save and click on OK. And I'm going to load the data in using this reload button in Qlikview. So it's going to load. There's only about 6,000 records in there. We've loaded in millions of records into Qlikview. That's the norm as opposed to 6,000. It leaves me with a blank dashboard screen. I, as a developer, I'm going to right-click on that screen and say, what lists do I want to put on that screen? Which dimensions do I want to put? So those dimensions there are the same dimensions we had in Excel. And I'm just going to choose some ones like age band. I'll choose course name, department name, faculty name, gender, and mode. Let's choose those. Qlikview overlays them on top of each other. And I'm just going to move these around so that I can see them a little bit better. These are just lists which Qlikview have created from the data. Let's put department name over here. Faculty name, let's move it down here, and let's just move gender down there, and mode down there, and move faculty name back up here. So we spoke about the green and the white and the grey. I'm going to show you that in practice now very, very quickly. So if I click on arts law, is a better one, education maybe, yeah, education. I can see that I have all types of age band that are studying education, all modes and all genders. I can see that education has these 4 departments associated with it, and I can see these are all the courses that are offered in education. If I chose a particular department, it would filter those courses by whatever I've chosen. But I can clear my selections, and I don't have to start there. I can start at a course name and just choose drama, and it just shows me the data in the opposite direction. That's the department it belongs to. That's the faculty name. There are no students over 42 that study drama. I'm assuming that course must be a full-time course because there are no part-time students, but there are males and females on that course. What I'm missing here is a metric, so I'm going to say New Sheet Object. Use one of Qlikview's statistics boxes. Just say I would like to see, not the sum of the FTE, but here I'd like to see a count of my student numbers. So how many unique student numbers do I have? I chose the wrong field or the wrong type, so it's not text count, it's numeric count, the total count. I can see there are 72 students that are studying that particular course. How many of them are female? 56. And there's 16 males. And all those males are less than 21. So that's the way I start looking at data. I may want to create a chart to show this to me, so I'm going to delete now my course name and my department name. I'll move my faculty name down here. I will right-click on the screen, and this time I want to create a chart. Simple bar chart. Let's say I want to also be able to change it to a line chart, a pie chart, and a straight table. And it's just a wizard which takes me through a whole lot of nexts. Department name is my dimension I'm after. In this case, I don't want to count my students. I want to sum my FTE field. I want to show the data values and values on the data points. And it's a series of next that one clicks through. I want to see it long ways, not highways. And let's say I want to make sure it's different colors. I'm just going to click finish on here now. What Qlikview will do is provide not a very pretty chart, but a first draft of a chart where I can see or visualize which departments my students are in. By choosing a faculty, it will show me different departments within my faculties. Or if I don't need to click on text, I can just choose art school, and it will just have the data in by art school. Just filter the data onto art school. However, in this, what I don't have in my student data system is geographic information. So although I had a postcode field, I'm back in Excel now, although I had a postcode field as part of my student data, what I don't have is an external file which tells me which towns the postcode is in, which counties those towns are in, and which regions those counties are in. So I'm going to import this file and join it on to my existing file. So I go back into my script, and I go back and look for a file called postcode drill, and it puts underneath what those fields are. Now, it's no coincidence that postcode here is named exactly the same as postcode there. If it wasn't, I could have said as whatever the field name was called, but because this is a demo, it is. And I'm going to load that data in. And if you look behind the scenes, once that data is loaded in, what Qlikview is doing is it's starting to build up its mini data mart, its data engine. And typically our models in the universities would be, you may have 20 of these tables all joined together to produce a model. But what this obviously does in our model here is it allows us to now have additional fields in here, which we didn't have before. The join is on postcode, but it allows me to have a region field. So I know this isn't pretty. If I was to look at the southwest, I can see students in the southwest, or I can see students in the southwest and the southeast by clicking on both of them. So that's how one begins to build a model. We have a workshop or course which shows one day on Qlikview's front end, which is how to create these great visualization screens. And we have a workshop which covers one day on the back end, which deals with the data and the scripting, how to intelligently bring data into Qlikview. So going back to the PowerPoint, I'm running a little bit behind time now, so I'm just going to talk you through the resources. I'm happy to email this page or this presentation out to people. Everything you've seen today is on this site here. So all the models you've seen today are on he.bmesol.com. And you are welcome to go and look at it there. And I suppose at this point it's really just to see whether there are any questions that you would like to ask. You use the chat on the right-hand side of the GoToMeeting bar. I'd be happy to attempt to answer any questions that you may have. So I'm now looking at the chat and I can't see any questions. So if you have any questions, please just type them in here. So 2 questions so far. The one is the web version identical to the client version? It is almost identical to the client version. There is, when Qlikview is now on version 11 at the moment. When Qlikview was in version 5, version 6, version 7, there's quite a marked visual difference between the client and the web. But now in version 11, it's a nominal difference, and many people now develop Qlikview using the web version. So there's a very small difference, and by going to the models on he.bmesol.com, you can have a look at that. The next question is, would it be possible to obtain a copy of today's webinar presentation? Yes, I can send it out to you, and if you could just email me the request, you should have my email address. I can do that. Okay, next question is, how does the import/linking work in a relational database such as SITS? Okay. The answer to that question is SITS is obviously made up of many different tables. To simplify it awfully, SITS is made up of an SCJ, a student course join table, which tells you which students' numbers are studying which courses. You have a student details table, which you would link to, and so the student course join table would link to the student details table, and there you would get things like gender, age, ethnicity, etc. That student course join table would also link to your courses table, which tells you which courses form which part of which departments, which faculties, etc., etc. So it is quite, and SITS is probably the most popular package we've linked to. Unfortunately, all universities deploy it slightly differently, but we have some really good templates, blueprints in terms of connecting to SITS. Okay, the next question is, how do you deploy Qlikview apps? Qlikview apps are deployed on a server. So what you've seen me using today is something which is not all that common these days, which is the Qlikview Standalone thick version of Qlikview. It's actually on my computer. The way Qlikview is deployed is models are copied, usually to a folder on the network that is part of the Qlikview server. And users, just to show you very quickly how users would access it, if I go to hedemosite.com, those are my Qlikview applications deployed on the web. And you so welcome to go and click on them and to go and look at them. So they are deployed on a server, and Qlikview server, I know this isn't a word, webifies them or whatever to be able to be used on the web. Okay, somebody has asked for indicative costs, and that is something which I can get back to you on. I can get back to you on, I suppose, on a one-to-one basis. The simplest answer to that question is Qlikview costs £800 for a license as a sort of a standalone version of Qlikview. But you can even download the standalone version free from the web. The only restriction you have on the free version is you can't email or post models to the web or share them in any way. If you want to show anybody Qlikview, they have to be looking at the PC you installed it on. But the simple answer to that question is £800 for a user, and there's sort of a sliding scale as you go upwards. Somebody else asked who hosts the web version. Your university would generally host the web version. We have some universities that have said they wish they'd outsourced it to us, but you would host the web version on your own server. Another question is, where do you source the data from? Presumably from HE-based organizations such as HESA and UCAS. Yes, the KISS model, Key Information Sets model, and some of the models that are on our website which look at university numbers are all sourced from there. We're not going to underwrite that it's all 100% correct, but you can. That's where we do source a lot of our demo information from. We run a separate KISS webinar which shows people where to go and fetch the information. It's a very large XML file which HESA updates, supposed to be once a week, and that's where we source the information from. And it takes about 3 minutes to refresh the KISS model. Another question is it an app or a website for mobile devices? It's always a website. There's no Qlikview app. Qlikview is the same whether you're using a PC or an iPad. iPhone gets a little bit teeny. On Android, it's always a website. There used to be some years ago a Qlikview app, and the licensing doesn't change whether so you as a user, if you have a license for Qlikview, you can use it on your laptop, on your iPad, on your iPhone, on your Android. Okay, the last question so far is, we mentioned BME would be able to provide templates at no cost. How we go about this? Anybody who buys Qlikview from BME and is a BME customer is entitled to those templates, and we share them with our customers. So that's, I suppose, the caveat in terms of getting the free development is you have to be a customer of ours. Next question, is there a license price differential between the creator license and a read license? There can be. Certain read licenses cost £200 a user, but there are restrictions on that, and once again I'd have to deal with you separately on that. It's too big a forum, this with 20 people attending to look at that. I think I've covered all the questions. I'm just going to scroll up through all the questions again. email me if you'd like a copy of the presentation. There's another question which has just come in, which says, you mentioned that 30 plus HEIs have access to Qlikview. How many of these do you liaise with? The answer to that is we have 26 of the 32 Qlikview HEI users. We have 26 of those are our customers. Okay, it's just gone midday, so we've done well. Thank you, everybody, for attending and listening to me for an entire hour. My voice, I bore myself after a while, and getting lots of questions all of a sudden. I really appreciate you taking the time to attend. Someone has just asked, where can I get your email address? I shall send my email address to everybody on the chat quickly. Here we go. I'll just send my email address to everyone. I'll hang on for a little bit longer if there's any more questions. I think I've covered them all so far, but I'm really happy to obviously to speak to you guys afterwards about more detail about how Qlikview has been deployed. Often what we do is, if you wanted to get Qlikview, we'd put you in touch with a university who would have the same student data system as you, or the same finance system as you, and a lot of it, to be honest, has kind of been done already by the institutions that use the products, and they generally would be very keen to share it with you and very happy to have a site visit with them. Okay, thank you, everybody. I'm going to close this webinar now, and thank you for attending.